Remake Rewind.
All right, thank you for listening to Remake Rewind, the podcast where we decide if remakes or reboots should have happened. I'm Mike, as always. With me, I've got my two co-hosts. I've got David, aka Double D. How you doing, little buddy?
Not doing bad, Mike. How about yourself?
I am doing great now that we figured out how to record this when Skype's being a dickhead.
Skype sucks.
Now we're on Discord, motherfuckers.
Discord.
It's the future.
And the person who said the future is our other co-host, Alex Ortega. How you doing, Alex?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Good, good. So, what are we going to be talking about today, guys?
Old boy.
Geriatric child. So just like with Death Wish and Cape Fear, I do want to issue a little bit of a trigger warning on this episode. There is some incest, some sexual violence, rape kind of things that happen in this, so we're just going to let you guys know ahead of time at the beginning of the episode that there's some dicey subjects, and this is going to be something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Maybe skip this episode, but for those of you guys who want to listen, we're going to talk about
awesome.
Old Boy.
Spoilers,
and
Mike.
Old Boy.
Spoilers.
Yeah, well, that's what we do on this podcast. There's definitely going to be spoilers, and yeah. So I guess we should just start talking about this movie. So, Double D, you picked this franchise. Why did you pick it?
I have never seen either of these, and I heard they were like really, really interesting movies, and people were like super hyped about the remake when it came out. But I never actually watched them, so I figured it'd be a good movie to watch.
I honestly can't believe the remake came out 5 years ago. Like, I feel like this just came out, and it's been on my list of things to watch. Like, it's been on my Netflix queue forever,
so
and then they just took it out of Netflix this month.
Yeah, the one time we choose to watch it, it's gone from Netflix.
Right, I was very annoyed.
It was pretty annoying.
The problem that I've had with this movie is I've wanted to watch both of them for years, but I kept putting it off because I had the twist ending spoiled for me like 5 years ago.
Yep.
And so it's been kind of hard to make myself watch it when I kind of know what the ending's going to be.
Well, I'm glad I made you watch it.
I guess so. What about you, Alex? What do you know about these movies? Have you seen them before?
I have actually. So
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them. So I wanted to be a filmmaker. I studied it, and one of the scenes that was most talked about is the one long take shot, the fight scene,
The hallway.
Yeah, and everyone's mentioning oh, you gotta watch this movie just for that scene. It's really good. So I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. Checked out the movie, and I wasn't expecting that ending, but no, I ended up really liking it. So the remake came out, and I was like, oh no, why they made that? And then I watched that. So I'm pretty familiar with these. Yeah.
Honestly, what property did a better single take hallway fight? Daredevil season 1 episode 2, I think it was.
Yeah, that was pretty
That
cool.
was an incredible single take hallway.
Yeah, but that came out way later. This is during that time.
But that was TV and way better.
This is 2003. This is
2003. Whatever, man. They've been making movies forever.
Forever. It's the dawn of time.
I think we should just get into it. Let's go into the original 2003. This is a Korean film. I, for some reason, always thought it was a Japanese film, but I was wrong. It's Korean.
Totally wrong, Mike.
Yep, totally wrong. And I think we should just start talking about it. So who's going to summarize it for me?
That would be me. Allow me to synopsize. Why do I talk?
I don't know. I don't know why you keep letting me be on here.
You're thinking too much, Alex. Just go. Just do it. Just do it.
All right. An average man is kidnapped and imprisoned in a shabby cell for 15 years without explanation. He then is released, equipped with money, a cell phone, and expensive clothes. I like that note. As he strives to explain his imprisonment and gets revenge, Odesu soon finds out that his kidnapper has a greater plan for him and is set out onto a path of pain and suffering in an attempt to uncover the motive of his mysterious tormentor. And that's from Jack's Revenge.
So right off the bat, I'm going to say this movie's fucked up.
Yeah, that was the first thing that I was
really
gonna say.
fucked up. And I knew the ending. I knew about the incest kind of twist where he ends up sleeping with his daughter. I knew that was coming, and I was just curious as to how it was going to get there.
So
just
I have to,
so
yeah,
messed up.
I agree. I've seen it once the first time, and watching it again, knowing the ending, it's pretty rough.
It doesn't
knowing
make it
the
any
outcome.
easier, I don't think.
No, it does
Well, the
not.
thing
It
that
does not.
I didn't like about this movie And like, I don't want to make an excuse for this, but I almost get it, but I still like, I think it's really fucked up and wrong. Is so this guy was in prison for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
He gets out with no explanation as to where he is, and he meets this girl at a restaurant, the first place he kind of goes to, and he passes out. And later on we figure out why everything happened the way it happened. But this girl, for whatever reason, takes him home, and he wakes up, and she goes to the bathroom, and he barges in on her in the bathroom and tries to rape her.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And it's like, part of you goes, it's a different culture. Like, unfortunately, a lot of different cultures, they don't treat women well, and they kind of have this, like, I don't want to get into any, like, cultural things, but, like, some cultures don't treat women the way they should be, and they only look at them as a sexual object. So part of me goes, there could be some of that going on. Also, this guy hasn't seen a woman in 15 years, but it's fucked up that he tries to rape her. But then what pissed me off even more was she comes out and she apologizes to him.
And she's like, next time I'll be ready.
Right? Well, first she says, I'd be very upset if I were you too. I get it. I invited you to my home, and then I don't let you. I don't remember the exact phrase, but she's like, oh, she says reject you. So I invite you to my home, and then I reject you. I'd be really upset too. I really understand, and I'm sorry. So this guy tries to rape her, and then she apologizes. And then later on in the movie, when they actually, for whatever reason, I mean, we know the reason, but we'll get into it a little bit later. They actually do end up having sex, and she's like, this really hurts. I'm not enjoying this, but I will endure it for you. It's so fucked up. Like, I was very upset watching this movie. Like, I had to break it into chunks. This movie's like 2 hours long, like exactly 2 hours long. And I broke it up into like 30 to 40 minute chunks and watched it over the course of 2 days. Like, I could not sit there and watch it in one continuous session. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't stomach it.
Yeah, dude, it was a pretty gnarly movie to watch. But it is very interesting of a movie in that he fucking broke this guy down, and you could see it every step of the way, which was...
And... like, I don't want to say that this movie doesn't have merit. Like, you kind of talked about it earlier, Alex, with that single take fight scene. Like, that was interesting. There's also like this like scene where he's walking on the streets, and it kind of looks like he's just hovering or gliding. There's a lot of interesting camera work, and some interesting things with color, and like, it's a beautiful film the way it was shot and how it was made, and then just the whole psychological aspect of it, like how this guy broke him down. And then even when he's in prison, like, all the monotony of him just seeing him eat the same food over and over again, and then the training montage, like, visually it was a very interesting movie. And honestly, pacing the movie was pretty, like, it got a lot done in 2 hours, but it was just the content of the movie was very hard for me to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What I find, like, so I do like this movie, but it's definitely not a movie that I want to have on my shelf to, like, I'll watch. Oh boy, like, fuck no. Like, like, really, once was good enough, and I could have done without it. But like, I feel like it's a movie that you definitely like. It's hard because it's not a character you really want to root for. You're curious, right, and you kind of empathize, like, oh man, he's been put in this weird situation. But there's like things that he does that's like, yeah, it's questionable and moral, but like, you can't, like, it's weird. It plays off of that, I feel like, because like, really, they're not reliable characters, because like they're hypnotized and they're just doing things to, like, not with their own actions.
And
they think they're doing.
Find that out at the end, and I like, part of you wants to root for the guy because the only interaction we have with him before he gets abducted is he gets drunk, and he's basically in like a drunk tank. Like, there's like a 2-minute scene of him just acting like a drunk dumbass, but like, he doesn't seem necessarily mean. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. He just seems like some guy who got drunk and whatever, right? So we don't ever really see the real is it Desu?
Odesu.
Yeah.
Odesu. We don't really see him. Like, we never know what he is or who he is prior to the events that transpired in this movie. So it's really hard to say that this guy was a bad guy. Like, even when you take into account what he did to quote unquote deserve this, like,
it wasn't honestly, even to be like that bad, because like, he, even his younger self, like, he was trying to tell his friend, but he's like, "Hey, don't spread to anyone. I'm just I just wanted to share it to you," kind of thing.
Right. Especially in this version, I don't necessarily think he deserves it. Now, the thing that upsets me further about this, I think maybe we should just kind of slowly, kind of go through the events of this movie a little bit, and then we'll kind of talk about the ending.
Yeah.
Because the ending is really fucked up.
Oh,
not
so
just like the
crazy.
twist, but like the actual last shot of the film is just disgusted me.
Disturbing.
Right. So, basically, in a nutshell, to kind of elaborate on that summary a little bit, we see this guy getting drunk. We see him going buy some angel wings for his daughter. It's going to be his daughter's birthday.
Third birthday.
He gets abducted, and then he's in this hotel room for 15 years. And so initially, it takes 2 months before he even breaks down enough to ask the person who's giving him food what's going on. And then at 9 years, he decides to start trying to escape. So he starts carving out bricks behind his bed, and he draws a figure on the wall, and he starts watching kung fu movies. And actually, did he watch kung fu movies in this one, or was it the other one?
It was boxing.
Oh, boxing. So he watches boxing videos, and he pretends to fight, and he punches the wall and everything like that, so he can learn how to fight, which I have some issues with that. And then at 15 years, at 11 years, he gets enough bricks out that he thinks he's going to be able to escape. But then all of a sudden it jumps to 15 years and he's out. He sees a suicidal person on the roof. That person was someone who was going to commit suicide regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That confused me initially. I had to stop this movie several times and go to Wikipedia and kind of what just happened kind of thing, just because, as I'm stopping to take notes, and then, you're missing some of the subtitles, so it was a little tricky to watch this and take notes. But he sees this suicidal person, and he drags the person off the roof to kind of talk to him, and then he ends up killing himself. Goes to this restaurant, sees this girl, passes out, eats a live octopus, which is that this movie had a lot of controversy around that scene specifically. A lot of people in the Western markets were really uncomfortable with this movie, specifically because of the octopus scene, not the rape
octopus.
and the incest, which is a little weird, people's priorities. But so this girl takes him in, and then he this is a part that I really liked. He's trying to figure out what's going on, and so he decides to go after the he tries to find his daughter first, but then he hears that his daughter got adopted by some Swedish people,
and she died.
so so he just gives up on that.
No,
right?
she dies. She
She
died.
did?
Oh, is that what he heard?
Yeah, that's why. Because his actual daughter is "Oh, did you want to go visit her grave?" And then he runs off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I must have missed that part. So
I thought that was his wife.
no, that was the wife. No, because if you look, no, it was the wife, because if you look at both on IMDb and Wikipedia and other summaries of this movie, it says that once he found out she was adopted, he just decided not to even bother because he thought she was in Sweden.
Yeah,
and he wanted to
they
get his
had also
revenge.
said that her Korean wasn't very good anymore.
Right. So
it was
yeah,
the wife's grave.
yeah, Alex, you're wrong.
Well, like I said, it was hard watching it for a second time.
This part of the movie I really liked. After he tried raping her, which really pissed me off and made me I really was pissed off when that
Well, the
happened.
thing is,
I didn't
it
wanna
was
watch
also played for laughs too, because when he first boxed.
I'm sorry, I don't think rape is funny.
No, because
Call me old fashioned.
How the movie sets it up, it's played for laughs because
Yeah,
how
because it was after that fight scene. He's like,
the fight scene. 15 years. Yeah,
imagination pay off or something like that.
Right.
And he's like, yes. And then it's can 15 years of whatever. It's no.
No. So after that, he decides to try to find out who captured him. So he goes to every restaurant to try to figure out the dumplings that he had, right?
Yeah,
Which was
And-
From the Blue
interesting.
Dragon.
I kind of
Right.
like that.
So I actually really like that detective kind of noir aspect of the movie. And then he follows the delivery guy, and then he finds the place that he was held.
I really like
then
that he just ran after the.
He just ran, yeah.
Yeah. And so he goes and he finds out that is the place. He tortures what was the guy's name? Parker? Mr. Park?
Yeah, something like that. With the
So
hammer.
he tortures this guy with the hammer. He rips out all this guy's teeth.
That made me cringe. I couldn't.
And then it's really gnarly. And like the thing that's different about this movie compared to the newer one is this one leaves a little bit more to the imagination, where like you see the hammer go to the tooth, but then you just see the tooth drop. Like you don't actually see the teeth rip out of his skull.
If I remember correctly, you do. Well, you don't see it rip out, but like you see the hammer on the tooth.
You see the hammer on the
like
tooth,
bleeding,
but then
and
it
like,
cuts.
It's like
then it pans down to the keyboard. So
Yeah.
there's a computer. You see it pan down to the keyboard, and then you see a tooth drop, and then another tooth drop,
like
and another.
just
So you don't actually see a
that
tooth
imagery,
get ripped out.
though. That's
Right,
all
so-
you really need. Like you didn't need to show it. Like just seeing the hammer on the tooth. That's
It was really uncomfortable. I didn't like it.
It's filmed really well. Like,
But then
yeah.
you get that hallway scene. So like he goes and like all the guys who work there come and he fucking whoops ass. So Alex, you being someone who studied film, like why don't you tell us a little bit about that fight scene?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this. It was done in all in one long take. You can actually, what I like about it is that you can actually visibly see like everyone was like tired, like they're exhausted. It's a long shot.
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
It's like a 2 or 3 minute scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like movement and like you have to get well choreographed. So like that's pretty neat.
Yeah, so basically, it was like a 2 or 3 minute fight scene where he fights like 30 guys. And he's got like a hammer, and everybody else has got like 1 or 2 guys have knives. The rest of them are coming at him with like 2x4s and shit like that. Honestly, I call bullshit on this scene and that first fight scene at the beginning of the show. Like one of you guys mentioned, like he's just like sees some like hooligans, and like he just like decides to get in a fight to see if his fake training would work. And it's like, I'm sorry, if you're punching walls. Yes, they're hard. But a wall is different than hitting a person.
Yeah, especially
There's
his blocking and dodging. And all
There's
that
a
stuff.
mental aspect. The block, if you've never had to do that, if you've never actually had to block a punch, like that resistance is different. And also punching a person, there's a give. They're softer. There's flesh. They move. The resistance is different. You'll get thrown off if you've only punched a wall. You'd get thrown off balance fighting a person.
I find it. I find it. The fighting more believable than like hypnotism. The extent of that.
With the movie,
I liked how
right?
that's
No,
what
I
you
agree.
picked.
And hypnotism doesn't. They don't even mention hypnotism until like the end of the movie. Like you think that maybe something happens because that woman walks into the prison, but they don't explicitly say he was hypnotized until the end of the movie. But there's just no fucking way he fights 30 guys and like he gets stabbed.
That's just like how
and dealing with the pain. Like
how I
you
took
don't
away
just
is
deal
like
with pain
he's
like
hitting
that.
walls, and it's like he has like heavy callus, so he's a hard hitter now.
No,
Like, his
no.
punches
I think like his punches could hurt, but I'm saying he's blocking and dodging. Like you've never actually had to do that, and like the mental difference of fighting a person versus like it's like with a soldier shooting a target, a board is different than actually shooting a person.
I really don't see like he's like a really skilled fighter. Because like he gets beat up. Like he
does,
comes
but,
back
like,
and he's
there's
like
no way.
he's
You
just
can't
like the
take that much
Dashiell,
abuse.
like Dashiell Hammond. He's just like a brute that can like deal out hits. That's how I see it.
I don't know. I think it was too much to be believable. Like there was too many guys, and whatever. Like it was an amazing scene. Like it looked really cool. Like I appreciate a long take. So that Daredevil, there's actually an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the Charlie's Work episode. It's in like season 8 or 9, I think. And there's like 5 minutes before a take, and then there's like 5 minutes at the end of the episode. But there's like a 15-minute single take in this episode where like they keep moving all around the bar, up and downstairs, everything. Like it's incredible. Like I love single take things. There's also like an amazing single take scene in the end of the first season of True Detective that Matthew McConaughey had to go through, and it's like he just goes to this like gauntlet running through yards and stuff like that. So I really appreciate a great single take. I just didn't believe. I didn't feel this one was believable.
The only reason I didn't believe it was that they were obviously missing him on purpose a lot of the time.
There was a lot of times, and they missed by a large margin. Like
Yeah.
what hits, there was times where like you see when they were supposed to hit with like a board, but you can tell like the choreography wasn't great. Like it clearly missed him by a large mark, but he still like acts like he got hit.
Yeah, that's the only reason. The only problem I had with it. I mean, I agree with you, Mike. I don't think he would have had the training to fight all these guys, but the sheer determination and just being alone and angry for 15 years can fuel him that way, and I'm willing to ignore it that way. But the fact that they are missing him on purpose to me was more of a take me out of the movie moment.
Yeah, so like this scene is something that I've like Alex said, he was told to watch this movie specifically for that scene. This was something, as you know, somebody who's kind of a movie guy has heard about. Like, it was an impressive scene, but I wasn't as impressed as much as I thought I was going to be, just because I expected something spectacular and perfect, and I don't think it was a perfect scene. But it's also weird that none of them had guns. Like, why would you not have guns? And that's another thing. I mean, that happens in a lot of movies. Like, same thing with like the Daredevil TV show, and like nobody ever has a gun fighting Daredevil, but they all have guns when they're fighting Luke Cage, and it's the same. You know, that doesn't really make sense. Like,
Just
but
different
you can,
parts
you
of
know,
Manhattan, man.
yeah. So eventually, like the bad guy contacts him and is like, "Hey, you've got like 6 days. Figure out who I am, why I did this to you, and I will, you know." I'll kill myself, and I will like let the authorities know that you're innocent, because his wife he's wanted for questioning for the murder of his wife. So his wife still was murdered in this one. It's a little bit different in the newer one, and so then eventually he just kind of figures out that this was this guy that he went to high school with, and he saw this guy bang his sister, and he told a friend, and then the friend told somebody else, and then everybody found out, and it turns out like the girl got pregnant. And the bad guy, what's weird is this bad guy says he has a pacemaker and a remote to the pacemaker that will stop his heart, and that he's going to give it to the main guy if he's able to do all this stuff. The bad guy looks 20 years younger than the main guy.
Yeah.
They don't look like they went to high school together.
But they also addressed that after however many years he started to get wrinkles in the hotel.
Yeah, he like
Right.
aged quicker.
Well, no, I get that, but he also looks old as shit before he went to prison. Like,
yeah, he
the
did.
15 years before, he looks older before prison than the bad guy looks now. Like, the bad guy looks like he's in his late 20s, early 30s, where like, the hero, quote unquote, looks like he's 50, pushing 60.
I could only wish I could look that young.
So eventually he figures it out, and he gets his ass kicked by the bad guys. What was the bad guy's name? Lee something?
Lee Woo Jin.
Yeah, Lee Woo Jin. He gets his ass kicked by Lee Woo Jin's bodyguard, but eventually he, you know, figures it out. He literally like begs like a dog to try to like prevent him from telling the girl what happened. So he gives him this like box, and the box has like photos of the girl, and he figures out like, oh shit, I fucked my daughter.
That's like,
and
even though it's horrible, it's a really great reveal. Like, you're like, oh shit, like what's going on? And you see the photos, and
yeah, I mean, even though I knew it was coming, it was still impactful to me. Like, oh
well,
my god!
I think what made it really effective was that the bad guys had the girl and had a similar box, and they would have, you know, did that. And so he begs for the daughter to be basically spared, and so she doesn't have to know. And he begs and begs and begs, and then he ultimately cuts out his tongue, because
before
the only
Lee
bit of
Woo Jin
news
said anything, he did that. Like,
yeah, the only thing that the Parker said was that he knows that he was in the prison because he spoke too much. So he cuts out his own tongue to basically pay penance for what he did. And it's like Alex said, honestly, that's not as bad as what he did. Like, it's not worth it. Like, the crime doesn't really fit the punishment. And then you find out, like, this guy's really legitimately crazy, because, like, he talks to me and goes, wait a second, because you basically find out that the sister that he banged got pregnant and then killed herself. Yeah. Well, then he starts asking questions, like our hero says, well, wait a second, there's a picture of her at the dam. If she went by herself to kill herself, how's there a picture? Also, she got pregnant, and then the guy's like, no, she didn't get pregnant from me having sex with her. She got pregnant because if the mind believes something enough, it'll happen. So all these rumors got spread that she was pregnant, so she got pregnant. So it was your fault she got pregnant by saying that we had sex, kind of thing. And I was like, what? Like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah,
and like, obviously you got to be crazy to put somebody through a situation like this.
It fits really well. Like, I really think like the main antagonist is he's done pretty well, because like you see moments where he snaps, like when he's overhearing a conversation about with
about his sister and
about the and then he like
Ju-wan.
snaps the
Ju-wan
CD
calls him a whore,
and
calls her a
he
whore.
like he just
Yeah.
kills that guy. Like you see him break, and you're like, oh, that's when you're starting to get a more killer image. Like, okay, this is not like attacked. Like he's not mastermind where he's like he has everything planned out. He does have his flaws, and he's starting to see those flaws.
Yeah, like
thing.
that last like 20 minutes, except for like maybe the last 2 or 3 minutes of the movie, I thought was great. Like once he got to like that final warehouse or a hotel or a penthouse, whatever it was, and he killed like a bunch of the guards, and then he got his ass kicked by the main bodyguard, and then the bad guy shot the bodyguard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That was a good
they
fight
had
scene.
this whole reveal. Like the reveal scene was great, and then like him begging for the penance basically, I thought was great. But then what ultimately happens is he explains like, oh, this whole thing was set up. Like we hypnotized you to go to that restaurant, and we hypnotized her to when she hears somebody say, "Who are you?" to touch them and fall in love with them. And it was a little like unbelievable, but you do use your suspension of disbelief, and they explain all that. But then he goes to the hypnotist and says, I want to forget that I know that I fucked my daughter. And then he goes back to the daughter, and then you see she's like, oh, I love you, I'm so glad we're together, something like that.
And
you see him looking all happy,
Yeah.
and then this smile fades, and you realize he knows that he's with his daughter, and he's going to be with the daughter anyway.
Well, I feel like it's left ambiguous.
It's
Like-
ambiguous, but
Like, is he happy, like, or is he like sad? Like he realizes, oh fuck, like I still remember, or like I felt like it's not clear.
But why would his
like that.
smile go from happy to like he looks disgusted with himself? It's pretty, to me, I interpret it as he wanted to forget, but he knows now, and he's going to do it anyway.
Dude, no. God. This
No,
movie.
I really, because like even I only know this because like all our interviews and stuff, like he like it's purposely meant to be ambiguous.
I know it's supposed to be ambiguous, but
And-
it's kind of hard to think it's ambiguous when he goes from smiling. Like, there are certain movies like this, and you look at Inception, and like the point of the movie is the point of Inception at the end of the movie is it doesn't matter if he's awake or dreaming, like he's happy. It doesn't matter. And Christopher Nolan has said over and over again, like there isn't an ending. Like it's both. Like it could be whatever you want it to be because it doesn't matter. In this movie, there's no reason for his smile to fade. If he's with a woman, if he truly forgot that he fucked his daughter and he's just with the woman that he thinks he's in love with, then you would just smile. Why would he be sad?
Well, like I felt like it's supposed to be interpreted as like either he's sad that he's like it's a good sadness that he finally found someone that he that cares about him, or is it sadness that he's become aware that like, oh shit, this is my daughter.
The
Like-
only other way I can interpret it, that smile would be, and I think this was done better in the newer movie, and of course we're going to talk about the newer movie in a minute, would be his whole purpose. So there's one scene at the beginning of the movie when they're talking about his dead wife and the daughter moving to Sweden, is he says he's not going to visit the grave until he's done with his revenge. And the only other way I can interpret that sadness would be his whole life for 15 years was focused on revenge, and now the whole reason for him being alive is gone. Like, I can kind of see that, but it'd be weird that clicks into place when he's with the girl and not like when he's with the hypnotist or some other time.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it too, like when he was explaining how the hypnotism worked, he explained that they were both susceptible to it. But this guy's like endured so much trauma. I mean, I don't think his mind's the same. So maybe he's no longer susceptible to it. So it didn't work completely.
Maybe, but still, like, to me, the way I interpret it, at least, is he knows that he fucked his daughter and he's going to continue to fuck his daughter.
Yeah.
That's
gross. Here, so if you look at the synopsis, the last sentence is, the soft-spoken Mido tells Daesu that she loves him, and a large smile appears on his face, which slowly disintegrates into a tortured grimace. So,
Yep.
I mean, tortured grimace, I don't think that's happy sadness.
Yeah.
He's gonna keep fucking his daughter.
Yeah.
Gross. Oh god.
You know what was funny? So the bad guy, so there's a point where like that room that he's in is like a pretty sweet little like pad. But he gets like naked and like has this like weird closet where like it's like computerized and motorized where the closet closes and opens and everything like that.
I want that.
was
Closet.
And he's like,
Yeah,
it was rad, but he's walking around naked and he has like a tramp stamp of a cross like going down, and it goes like it doesn't just stop at his butt cheek, it goes down into his ass crack. Like it probably the tip of the cross probably touches his asshole.
straight into the
It was
gates
weird.
of hell.
Yeah, and then he ends up killing himself. But like
Well, because he had nothing to live for anymore.
he had nothing to
fucking
live for
completed
either,
his
and that's
revenge.
where I can almost kind of get that maybe he still doesn't remember the daughter thing, is that he feels like he doesn't have a purpose. But if he's with the woman that he truly loves, then you'd think that would be his purpose. And once again, that's why I think he's kind of like, I'm gonna fuck my daughter.
Oh, God. I don't know, man. Like, overall, this movie was, I don't want to say traumatizing, but it was hard to watch.
I feel like this was harder to watch than Cape Fear, because at least Cape Fear, I felt like even with both versions of Cape Fear, even the 90s version, it was a little harder to be on Sam Bowden's side on the newer one, just because he wasn't like as good of a person as the Gregory Peck version.
Yeah.
But there was a clear person who was right and a clear person who was wrong. In this movie, there wasn't.
There was no...
The hero was doing despicable things.
Yeah, there was no reason to like him.
Right, like he tried to rape a girl multiple times. He went and fought a bunch of people on the street for no reason other than just to see if he could fight.
It's not so. A lot of movies end up being like wish fulfillment, where you're like, oh, that like I can see myself into that character. But this one, it's not one of those type of movies. It's
just a
about
story being told.
it's just
the
about
thing is,
a
you need
story
an
and you
antagonist in a
experiencing that
movie.
story, and then like what you take away from that. Like I
Right.
feel is pretty.
But who do you
pretty
root
good.
for in this movie? Like most movies have somebody that you want to see be victorious, and to an extent, like the only reason you want this guy to be victorious is you want to see why he went through this. But I don't give a shit about him. I'm more concerned about if like I was more interested in the villain. Like who's fucked up enough to think of this scenario and put somebody through this? Like I guess it's more terrifying because it's like, honestly, this guy was just an average guy as far as we don't know anything about this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
He was just a
we really
drunk.
don't. He could have been just like he could have been an asshole. We really don't know. But once we do get to know him a little bit, like it's just there's no redeeming qualities about this guy. So I really didn't give a shit what happened to him. I was more concerned with like poor Mito. Like
Yeah.
she got roped into
she was
this, and
sweet.
like she did nothing wrong. She was like a 3-year-old girl when this happened. Like I get that this bad guy is like pissed off that his sister died, but it's now implied that he may have killed the sister. We don't really know. Then there's like a flashback scene where he's like trying to hold her on the bridge, but once again it's weird because it flips over to him, but he's an unreliable narrator at that particular case because he's already lied multiple times saying his daughter or his sister was alone, but there was a picture of her at the dam, so obviously someone took that photo. So it's, I don't know, like there are parts of this movie that are great. Like visually, it's amazing.
I do
The
like
way it was
that
filmed.
Daisu did narrate a lot of the things he was doing or thinking while they happened as well.
Yeah,
Right.
it's very film noir.
From a storytelling standpoint, like it was very effective the way that this movie kind of like progressed and told the story. But I just didn't give a shit about anybody other than Mito, just because she was manipulated. Like that's fucked up that you basically took a 3-year-old, ruined her life by murdering her mother. Like we don't know explicitly that who murdered her in this one. Like you can assume it was the bad guys and his people, but we don't really know for sure. But just it's fucked up. It's a real fucked up movie.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. But I mean, like Alex and I said, I don't think it's really made for you to like anyone in the movie. It's more so just to experience the story.
Right. And I get that, but it's just, and obviously this movie was originally made for a different market.
Right.
In Western movies, we typically have somebody, even if it's a movie like The
protagonist,
Suicide Squad, where everybody's a bad guy, they give them some redeeming qualities where you want to root for them because they're the underdog. Like, there isn't any aspect of that, and that was a little harder for me to watch this movie. Like, once again, visually it was amazing.
It's refreshing though, because like it's
I
something.
wouldn't call a movie
like
with a ton of rape and incest refreshing.
No,
but,
like because like it's like I'm trying to say is like it's not like your traditional format of a movie where you're like, here's a hero, here's how you a hero you root for, here's how he overcomes that thing, and then here's the ending that you get. So it's happy. It's different and weird, and like you kind of like appreciate it for that, where it's like it's this guy that you don't really like, he's kind of unlikable, and he goes through and does these weird things, and then he gets like, you get that weird ending where you're like, I don't know if I like this or not, like like this is different, like you have to appreciate it for those values.
You know what I really didn't like about the main character? And this is a bit nitpicking. But when he gets his little box of like the photo album and everything showing that he like fucked his daughter, it's got a big bow on it, and he uses scissors to cut the bow. You don't do that. You untie the bow so you could reuse that ribbon. This guy's a monster.
Well, he's been locked up for 15 years. He doesn't know how things work.
He's had a gift before. This guy's a monster.
He is a monster.
I'm glad this guy fucking got tortured and everything. Can't even open a present.
Mike, let me ask you this: since we both knew the ending before we saw it, do you think that made it any easier to watch?
No,
not at all.
Maybe that's why, because I didn't know the ending when I saw it.
No, but I mean, I didn't know anything else about it. I just knew he was in prison for X amount of time. And then I knew the ending. Like, I didn't know anything else. Like, I didn't know about the whole, like, hey, you have X amount of time to solve this crime or I'm going to kill the girl. I didn't know anything about... I didn't know that he was with this girl for most of the movie. I didn't know that he was going to rape somebody or try to rape anybody. I didn't know how crazy this bad guy was going to be. Like, I didn't know anything about the movie other than the end. That hallway scene existed. And then that he'd been in prison for a long time. So, like, I just thought he was imprisoned. I didn't know it was like this weird prison where he got gas and had the same food every day and punched the wall over and over again. Like, I didn't know anything else about it. So I still was able to watch this movie and not know what's going on. And, like, I didn't know when the reveal was going to be. I didn't know when he was going to bang the daughter. Like, it was an...
Oh, God.
But then ultimately, I think it was... I don't think knowing the ending ruined the experience for me. Like, I was still fucking disturbed by this movie like crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, overall though, I think this was a very well put together movie, very thought out. And
I don't think this movie was not worth watching.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just very hard, and you got to be prepared to be fucking butt fucked in the mind.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I said, it was very hard for me to. I didn't expect it to be as gnarly as it was, so I had to take breaks. Like, if Katrina decided she wanted to watch this movie, and now that I'm a little bit more mentally prepared, I probably could watch it in one go. But the first time I could not.
I did. I watched it all in one go.
I couldn't do it. I really
mentally
couldn't.
Prepared.
I couldn't. But I think we should move on to the next movie.
Old Boy, 2013.
The geriatric child, 2013.
Josh Thanos Brolin.
Josh Thanos Brolin.
Cable.
Cable.
One and the same.
Goonies.
All right, cool. Yeah, I got a little summary for us this time. This one's from Film District. An advertising executive is kidnapped and held hostage for 20 years in solitary confinement. When he is inexplicably released, he embarks on an obsessive mission to discover who orchestrated his punishment, only to find he is still trapped in a web of conspiracy and torment.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I mean, it leaves a bunch of stuff out, but yeah, that's about right.
This movie, what's interesting about this movie is the actors in this movie and Spike Lee, the director, were very unhappy with the final product. So apparently, Spike Lee directed it. This is kind of like one of the first movies that he did that he didn't really like write, and this is the first time he's done like a property that wasn't his. Most of his movies will say a Spike Lee joint.
Yeah.
This one doesn't, because his cut of the movie was 140 minutes, which is 2 hours and 20 minutes. So it would have been about 20 minutes longer than the original one. This one was cut down to like 104 minutes, so it's not even 2 hours long. And he was very unhappy with that. He spent now one thing that I do think was done better with this movie is there was a lot more character development pre-imprisonment.
Yeah, there was.
And so we saw that Josh Brolin really was like an asshole.
Yeah, for sure.
And so his name was Joe in this one, correct?
Joe Doucette.
Joe Doucette. Originally, this movie was supposed to be Steven Spielberg with Will Smith. But then like Steven Spielberg dropped out, and then Will Smith dropped out, and then they had Christian Bale, Colin Firth, Clive Owen were all like offered the role of the bad guy, but they declined it. Like there were a lot of people who like had their hand in this movie and then decided not to do it. What's weird is I'm kind of torn. So like he's very smarmy and swarmy and just not a good person. Like he's drunk like 24 hours a day. He is told by his boss, like, I need you to land this client. Like, if we don't get this client, like, we're going to go under. So he lands the client, but then tries to, like, hit on the client's wife and then loses it. And then his, like, wife also calls him on the same day, like, you better come to our daughter's three-year birthday party tomorrow. And it's like, why are you going to have a birthday party for a 3-year-old on a Friday? Kind of thing. Like, I thought that was a little unrealistic or unreasonable for the wife to be upset that a man who works like a 9-to-5 job at an agency should take a Friday off for their kid's birthday party. And it's like, have that on a Saturday. Like, I don't know. Like that was gonna. So I like this was my note on that. So it can't make daughter's birthday. Calls his wife a fucking bitch. She calls him like she swears at him constantly. But I go, why have a party on a Friday? That's unreasonable. The wife is kind of being a bitch in this situation.
I mean, to be fair, he was notified 3 weeks in advance.
But still, like, who else is going to this party? Like, you expect everybody else to take a Friday off to go to a 3-year-old's birthday party? Have it on Saturday.
I feel you.
Right? I was distracted by, like, a lot of the actors in this movie. So at the very beginning of the movie, like, after he basically gets shut down from the guy who's supposed to be a big client, he goes out and gets drunk. He goes to his friend's Chucky's bar, and Chucky was like, I'll give you coffee, and he gets pissed. So then he goes and buys like a little duck from this gift shop, and this girl was wearing wings to kind of allude to the original one.
Yeah.
But then you see Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy, and then she abducts him, and then you go through a lot of the same stuff. Like
I didn't like
prison.
that she had that umbrella with the
20 hash marks.
That threw me off.
Right. It was kind of dumb. But the problem that I had with this movie is, so he's in it for 20 years, and it's the exact same thing. He almost escapes. He's about to escape, but then the gas turns on, and then he gets loose, and basically the same thing happens. He figures out the food thing. You know, he follows the delivery driver. You know, and we'll go into it, but honestly, the plot is beat for beat almost the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
The only thing that really changes is Elizabeth Olsen, who's his daughter and lover, is a nurse who used to be a drug addict. I did like the prison stuff a little bit more in this one because they do this thing where he has like this documentary about the crime of his wife's death, and they have this girl pretending he thinks is his daughter, who's like, I would forgive him if I saw him, kind of thing. And so they've set up a whole fake TV show to trick him into thinking his daughter is somewhere else.
Yeah, for 20 years.
For 20 years, which is incredible. And so he does the same thing. He trains and fights. And this one, they keep giving him vodka. And then it was like at year 9, he decides he's not going to be an alcoholic anymore. He writes a bunch of letters to his daughter. So I actually really liked the character development in this. And in this particular one, contrary to the original one, I wanted Josh Brolin to succeed, even though he was an asshole at the beginning of the movie.
Because he repented.
It's different.
He's repented.
It's very westernized. It doesn't do what the original does. It takes a character with flaws and it redeems him, and then he unfortunately has that incident where he finds out who his daughter is. But yeah, he like changes and becomes a better person. So you want to root for him.
But that's what prison's supposed to do to you.
Place of reform.
Right. So he still is not all there and wants to like fucking like rage, and like he does the same. Like his is a little bit different, where like in the first movie he kind of goes after these like hooligans, he calls them hooligans. In this one he like wakes up in a field and he like sees a woman and he starts like kind of trying to chase her to get, or he sees Mantis again with the yellow umbrella.
Yeah.
And so he like tries to follow her but gets lost, and then he sees like this girl.
No,
He's like, "Hey, did
he
you?"
sees her on the field and he grabs her, but these fucking like
That's
lacrosse players come up to him like, and punch him out of fucking nowhere.
Well, I mean, but she yells like he's following me or something.
No, she's like, "Get the fuck off me!"
Yeah,
And this guy, he doesn't even say anything. He just grabs him and punches him. He's like, "Leave her alone."
But realistically, if you saw some girl who is, I mean, this Mantis girl, even though she's supposed to be like a bodyguard, she's very petite. If you saw this girl and this like Josh Brolin looking motherfucker. Like, Josh Brolin's not a small dude.
Honestly, I'm going to say something for it. I'm not going to immediately punch it.
Not escalate it to a fist fight already.
No, he grabbed him, and then Josh Brolin punched him, and then everybody came at him. He just grabbed him and was like, back the fuck off. Get away from her.
The lacrosse player punched him first.
No, he said, get the fuck off of her, and then he turned, and then they fought. Either way, like, I can get why these guys did what they did.
But they got their asses whooped.
Oh, but he's like compound fracturing these fuckers and
I'm pretty sure he killed that second guy.
He
might have
killed them.
Yeah, it's insane. But I did kind of liked that, he's unstable and he kind of gets freaked out a little bit by what he can do. Same thing, he meets the girl. He goes back to what I like about this one is he finds his friend like first,
Chucky.
And he goes to Chucky, and Chucky doesn't recognize him. It's like, he looks exactly the same.
Yeah, just shorter hair.
Just shorter hair. Yeah. Like, don't fucking say you don't recognize your best friend who you went to elementary school and high school with. Like, fuck you. You remember this guy. Yeah. But that's the other thing is, like, the difference between this one and the original one is the only character we see from the pre-prison time is the main character. So everybody else you see fresh, you don't know anybody else. In this movie, you see like half the cast beforehand, and it's like they didn't age 20 years. Like, I don't believe that for a second, kind of thing. Anything you guys want to talk about on this one?
I mean, you were saying this Spike Lee was supposed to have it 220 minutes?
No, 140 minutes. So 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I think that would have been better, to be honest with you. I felt like the character development was there, but then they rushed everything else.
But I mean, really, what else could they have done? So, like, they still had the whole, like, he goes to, like, 100 restaurants and everything. You still had... This is the problem that I had with this movie. So he goes and he finds the prison, and he fucking just kills Mr. Robot and Freddie Mercury. I can't remember his name right now. But the actor is in the main lead in Mr. Robot. He's playing Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Because when I first watched it, Mr. Robot wasn't on. When I watched it again, I was like, "Oh shit, that's Mr. Oh, he's dead."
Exactly.
He's dead. I like that he hit him in the fucking top of the head with the hammer, and he was yelling the whole time the hammer was in his head.
That was a pretty cool little thing. So he goes and tortures Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson plays, I don't remember what his name is in this one.
It was Chaney, I think.
Yeah, it's Chaney. And so he tortures him, and this one is a little bit more gratuitous, where like he draws like a dotted line on his neck, and then he starts carving out little pieces of skin, and you see it. And I was like, that seemed a little necessary. And like you said, Alex, on the original one, you don't need to actually see him rip the teeth out. Like, you can picture that. This one, like, it's, it's the difference versus show versus tell. Like, sometimes it's better to leave things to the imagination. So it was a little weird that they showed it. And then they did the hallway fight scene eventually. And what's weird about this one is it's broken down into, like, 3 cuts. But apparently they filmed it as a single take and then edited it to be, like, they actually cut stuff out of it to make it shorter and make it multiple cut takes versus just leaving the single take in.
I really didn't like it. There's like questionable things. Like, why is this in the foreground? It's like it's, and why is it blocked this way? I didn't really.
I think it would have been better if they left it as a single take, because then you can kind of like understand, like, oh, this is where the camera was or whatever. But yeah, they cut it for no reason. Like, if you're gonna take the time to rehearse a single take like that, why not do it? But I mean, I recorded a part. I want to play something for you. So while he's torturing Samuel Jackson probably ad-libbed this shit.
Yeah.
But he He had some of the funniest things I've ever heard. It's almost like, obviously you didn't do this episode with us, Alex, but Double D, you might remember from Death Race when like the warden and the newer one swore. It it didn't come out right.
Yeah, I do remember,
But
yeah.
I
It's
just
so
recorded this
stupid.
thing really fast. I'm gonna play it.
No dick ass licking son of a bitch. Fuck you. Nah, fuck you. Oh, booger eating, piss drinking motherfucker. If you stop now, you may get out of here alive.
Booger eating, piss drinking. God, that was so bad. And what's weird about this movie is if you read a lot of the reviews, like a lot of reviews for this say it didn't add enough from the original one to justify it. But the acting is really good. I honestly didn't think the acting was very good in this movie.
I mean, I thought Josh Brolin did
I thought Josh
fairly
Brolin
well.
was all right, but
Olsen
I think there were
was
even
okay.
scenes
I didn't
where
like Samuel Jackson in this. Though.
Samuel Jackson wasn't very good in it. Carlito Shapley, who's in like
Sharlto Copley, I didn't like.
I thought he was fine.
I felt
Elizabeth
he's,
Olsen.
like,
I didn't. I
very
don't think Elizabeth Olsen's that good of an
eccentric.
actor. So like, I didn't think she did a good job. I think Josh Brolin did better in the scenes that he was by himself than when he was with another actor.
I can see that.
I don't know. Like the differences between this movie and it's a little bit weirder. So when he finally sees the stranger, and he presents him like, "Hey, you have 48 hours to figure this out." It's a little bit different. Like he shows a video of him raping Josh Brolin's wife.
Yeah.
It shows him killing her, and he's like, "I'm going to give you this video. I'm going to give you a handwritten confession. I'm going to give you $20 million worth of diamonds, and like, I won't kill Elizabeth Olsen." Oh no, he says, "I won't kill your daughter."
Yeah.
And so the same basic thing happens. He tracks down, he figures out that they went to high school with each other. And this one is a little different. The sister fucks their father, not the brother.
Yeah, but their father was fucking his entire family, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that. And then the father went and murdered the entire family except for the brother.
That was a gnarly scene.
Yeah, and it had some really bad CG though. Like when he killed himself,
When
it
he
looked
blew
terrible.
off his head. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes and like they go to this hotel and then they have their sex scene and there's like a camera and they watch it and then the reveal of this one I kind of liked. Like it, I feel like this was more believable than the whole hypnosis. Like we hired people to adopt her and treat
like,
her terribly.
How did he have a camera in that specific motel?
Maybe he had them in all the rooms in that hotel.
But how? Why that one?
What do you mean?
Was it just a random motel? Wasn't
Maybe
it?
that was like the only hotel there in the area. Or maybe he booked out maybe this guy's super rich. Maybe he booked all the rooms
he's
in
a
all the
billionaire.
hotels except that one.
Weird.
I don't know. But in this one, after he figures it out, he figures out the whole thing, and basically the bad guy's like, "Cool, you win." Kills himself, and then he goes back to the prison.
Yeah, that I didn't get. I mean, I get that's what he gets is normal, I guess, but
yeah, I mean, a lot of people today, like when they go to prison, when they don't know how to function, it's very hard. Our prison system's fucked up. Like, it's weird because now in California, you cannot, you can only ask if they've been convicted of a violent crime. You can't ask if they've been convicted or been to prison for a smaller crime because realistically, the whole point of prison is you're supposed to have paid your debts to society, and you shouldn't be penalized for being in prison. But it's basically impossible to get a job if you've been to prison. So, like, a lot of people want to stay in prison just because they don't know how to function in real life. So, like, I kind of get it. But this guy got $20 million.
Which he gave almost all to his daughter.
He gave a bunch of it to the daughter, and then he gave a bunch to Cheney to go back into prison.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, dude, why go be a hermit somewhere? Like, you're used to being by yourself.
Or go be a hitman, dude.
Well, I don't think he'd be happy doing that, but go get a cabin out in the middle of fucking nowhere and just live off the land. Like, why go back to prison?
I don't know. Maybe that's just what he thinks is going back to normality.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it. It's just it's what's familiar to him. It's before that reveal happened to him. How he saw it was that he was in a good safe spot when he was back there,
Right.
and that's why he's
And like, I guess I get that to an extent, but or just kill yourself.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna kill himself. That's
the
what I thought
whole
was gonna
movie, it was really bothering me. It's like, how does Marie, Elizabeth Olsen's character, not see like a parallel to her life? Because you don't really learn about her background until the end, when it's like, oh, she got adopted and they like did this and this. Because it was really strange that we didn't really learn anything about her until the very end.
Yeah, I didn't even know her name till fucking the stranger said it.
Right. I don't know. Like, there's certain things that I liked about this one better. Like, I liked knowing that Josh Brolin was a dickhead before, and like he had. What I liked about this one is he had an entire list of enemies. In the first movie, he had a list, and he just like on a one-off scene in the original, he's just like, "Are you so and so?" And the bad guy's like, "No." "Are you so and so?" "No." And then that was it. In this one, he goes and researches and tries to figure out who it is, and he like basically one by one figures out.
One though, because like he researches it, and clearly the villain looks at the list and rips it up, and then he's
laughs.
like, yeah, and then he's like, no, don't rip up. I'm like, clearly it's the guy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, in the original, but in this one, he goes, yeah, he does that, but he tries to figure it out one by one, and he just slowly realizes he has no idea who it is, because like these people on the list are either dead or they're happy, and there's no way it happened. And then, like, I like that aspect of it where he kind of did the same thing, self-reflection, and he tried to figure it out. Like, we knew he was a dickhead. I liked that I feel like he was a better detective than the guy in the original one.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I liked better in this movie. I think
things. But I mean,
was that?
I agree with you. Certain things are better explained almost, but I mean, I think they're just almost completely different movies. Like,
it's weird because plot wise, beat for beat, they're almost the same.
Yeah,
it's just little things at the end and the beginning. Like the bookends of the movie are drastically different.
Right.
So, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to talk about on this?
Same question for this one, Mike. Knowing the ending, did it make it any easier to watch?
I think this one in general was an easier movie to watch.
Yeah, but I mean, just in this movie, not comparatively, but knowing the ending of this movie, did it make it easier to watch?
I think I don't want to say yes, just because it's a remake. Like, most people watching this movie probably are aware of the original one. I think this was just an easier movie. It was more palatable. Like, it was easier. Like, he didn't try to rape anybody.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Olsen's character wasn't weak. Like, she was like, I'm gonna help you, and like, I know I have problems, but I'm gonna do this. And she actually helped him and like brought him up. Like, she had some of her own stuff to do. Like, she wasn't just a damsel in distress, where Mito was a damsel in distress the entire movie.
Yeah.
So I think that this, call it being a Western movie, but I feel like the characters were more relatable, and I felt something for these characters where I felt nothing for the original.
Well, for me, I think knowing the end took a lot away from the movie. I think if I didn't know the ending, if I didn't know that was his daughter the entire movie, or for the reveal in itself, just what did not hold the same impact it did.
Yeah, I guess so. That makes sense. I do think
the original, like the way it was revealed,
ending,
I was like, oh, it's so impactful and like heartbreaking. Honestly, because like you see like the other one is like a see-through video, and it's like I don't.
I guess you guys are right in that aspect. I do think the end, even though I liked the whole background of having the fake TV show and hiring an actress and everything, like, I like that better than the hypnotizing kind of thing.
Like,
I do think the reveal was
like,
better in the original.
Hypnotism in the original, it's just it's so stupid. But you gotta
the reveal was more effective.
It's
in
like
the original,
near the
just with
end,
him biting out
anyways,
his own tongue,
and you have to like suspend your disbelief. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have much more to say. I guess we just need to give the final verdict. Like, do you guys think this is a remake that was necessary or needed?
sort of. I mean, I think it was needed to make a more palatable movie, but I think I prefer the Korean one as a whole better.
What about you, Alex?
Definitely agree. Like it's what I like about the Korean movie is not in this one. It got all the. It's definitely a light version, and if I feel like if I was gonna make a recommendation, like I would definitely still recommend the Korean version because like it's an experience. It's like definitely like it makes you feel something where like it's weird to have a movie do that to you, and that's pretty neat. And that's I think what the Korean movie has over the American remake.
Okay, well, for me, I honestly preferred the newer one. Maybe it's just my sensitivities. Like I felt it was palatable, and I think if you've never seen the original one and you watch this one, I think it would be just as impactful to an extent, just because that twist at the end is still incredible, and I think there's a lot more detail in the villain's
It isn't
plot.
just about the twist. But I'm sorry, this is your part. But like, I feel like it's not just about the twist that makes that movie the Old Boy.
But imagine if you never saw the original one and saw this one. I think you'd get that same kind of journey. Like I think you would. Like if
I think it's completely different. If you watch
I think it's
American
completely
version
different,
and
but I
then
think
watch the Korean version, I think your experience watching either one of them is completely
is going to be
different.
diminished.
Yeah,
I think so. Like if you watch if you watch this one first and you've never you go into it completely blind, you don't know the twist ending, you don't know anything about it. If you watched the American version first, I still think you would be blown away by the end. Like, holy shit!
I would be
he fucked his daughter.
blown away, but then like I still wouldn't have like those impacts where like how we talked about how like I don't know if I really want to root for this main character. Like for Josh Brolin, like it's different. Like he's a scumbag in the beginning, and then he like has his upbringing, and
I guess that no, I can get where you're coming from. I do think that I disagree with a lot of the reviews that I read. I read a lot. Like this movie is like got like a 6 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's very polar. A lot of people are like, it's really good and the acting is incredible and the performances are great, but it didn't add anything. I disagree. I think that it makes a lot more sense, and I do think that having a character that's relatable does make it. To me, it made it a more fulfilling movie. Like, I feel like somebody got what they deserved and somebody grew out of it. And he's still a broken person. Like, I think that this movie did do enough things differently to stand on its own.
I honestly feel like it because it follows like the structure of a screenplay, like a typical screenplay, it becomes a kind of forgettable moment. It's more like a M. Night Shyamalan twist, like it's just known for the twist. But the Old Boy Korean movie, it has more going for it. Like it's still talked about, even like in film school and stuff like that. It's just.
I get that. I do think this movie has its merit. I'm not going to say that it shouldn't have happened, because I think with basically all the big like Asian cinema, The Ring, this movie obviously, The Grudge, like it makes sense to have an American version and they do their own thing. I think this did enough to be justified to have it as its existence. I get what you're saying. I do think it is a different experience, but I do think if you've never seen the original one, I still think you can get a pretty good experience from this movie.
I agree. I mean, if you haven't seen the original, it's definitely, like I said, a different experience. I think it is more impactful if you haven't seen the Korean version, but that being said, I do think the Korean version is worth watching.
Yeah. I think it's worth watching once, but you've got to like know that you're going to be emotionally fucked up watching it.
It's traumatic to an extent.
All right. Well, I think we've talked these movies to death. Thank you guys for listening. Go to I can't even talk right now. Go to MDXpods.com for any information around the show. You can also check us out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. We are now on YouTube. And once again, check out our other great podcast, Ruin My Childhood, with me and Kat. And thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.